back to Used to Sew, a podcast about sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host, Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is here today to talk to you about Morse sewing machines. We've got scandal, we've got mystery, and we've got even more in this surprisingly exciting tale of a short-lived import sewing machine company that needed the help of, among others, Toyota. This episode is a history romp and sewing machine engineering medium depth dive. Or it is once we get past 10 minutes of catching up on life that is at this point so last year. TR and I both have experience handling Morse machines, having helped Mike with his restorations of so many machines. But there's nothing about the machines themselves that hints at the bonkers story behind their origins. The short version, the very short version, is that some guy made a shell import company and then vanished when the law caught up. I'll let TR tell you the longer version, and then in the ending segment, I'll let you know what supplemental information I found out since we recorded this. Last recording of the 2025 year.
You're listening to us in 2026, but here we are still scratching things off our Christmas lists. Or Hanukkah lists or solstice lists or whatever kind of lists you're making. We're at the hinge. We're at the hinge of the years now. New Year's, I don't know about all over the world, but New Year's resolutions are a thing here in the U.S. where people like, oh, January 1st, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to finish all my sewing projects. I'm going to quit whatever it is. It's like, I quit that nonsense a long time
ago. It's just a way to make yourself sad. That's all.
Yeah, just another, mark to set up that you're going to fail. So, yes, we are approaching up here in the Northern Hemisphere. It is dark. We're in Oregon. We're supposed to get another atmospheric river storm any minute now.
It is less than a week from solstice, so we are in the deepest, darkest dark of the entire year. This next, 10, 14 days is as dark as it gets for us here in the Northern Hemisphere. Whatever your latitude in the Northern Hemisphere, this is as dark as it's going to get. So thank goodness for that. I'm about over it. I'm ready for the sun to start coming back. It's been really clear here lately. The past couple of days, so it's been super bright and sunny, so you can really see how steep the angle is. Oh. It's not just the number of hours. You can actually see where the hills are causing there to be shadow and how few minutes certain buildings are getting light at the bottom of these little slot canyons. And we're in the darkest dark. We're at nearly solstice time, and I am ready to get through solstice and come to the other side and start getting out.
Yeah, come to the other side. We're at 44 degrees north latitude, so halfway to the North Pole here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much exactly halfway.
And Western Oregon here is kind of like Appalachia in that it's very deep and steep, and what they call them hollers back there. I live up in the holler. Well, you kind of live out in a holler.
No, we had a guy that recently just got lost in the woods mushroom picking and got found alive, which I was shocked. Yep. I was happy and shocked to hear that after 3 nights out in the rain, this man had not died of hypothermia. I was so happy to hear that. But they recovered him from an area where they needed rappelling gear to get down the slope. It was it's steep out here, guys. It's really, really steep. Search and rescue was using rappelling gear to get down the fern-coated slope to where this man I don't know exactly how he had fallen or whatever, but he was still alive, which was a miracle.
He was still alive. It's lucky. Just seeing the one picture of him, he looks like he was a little well-upholstered, so maybe
But he had to have known to wear wool socks when he went mushroom hunting or something. He had to have dressed appropriately, because I don't know how else you don't. Because it was raining really hard the days he was out, or the nights he was out.
Maybe I don't know. I can't wait to hear the rest of the story, but I too was amazed when he was found alive, because you can step off. There's hardly any paths in the woods anyway, and if you get off of it, you're lost. We often call this the cold jungle up here because it's like that. But anyway, Christmas blessings for that. Oh, that family. I want to hear, though, how did you do it, brah? Did you eat the mushrooms?
Seriously, right?
They don't have a whole lot of caloric value, but yeah. Anyhow, so much excitement in the winter. I know a lot of people are probably frantically sewing for Christmas still.
But by the time you hear this, now you're sewing Christmas for next year. Now you're ahead of next year's gift cycle, right? That's,
Okay, now it's time to put away the Christmas fabrics and get out the pastel spring fun stuff, right? Because the first day of spring is February 2nd. A lot of folks know that as Groundhog Day or Imbolc or Candlemas, or there's another Christian name for it. But that's the first day of spring. And then the real first day of spring is March 21st. And then the last first day of spring is May 1st, right? Does that make sense to y'all?
Yes.
Probably not as much as talk about sewing machines. I went to a new quilt store this week.
Ooh, do tell.
I went to Eugene, and there is a new quilt store called Quilt Creative. And it's in the old building where Piece by Piece used to be, which was also a quilt shop. And I found out from the new lady that the old lady just wanted to retire. It wasn't that it was too rough of a neighborhood or anything like that. I said, why did that other store go? No. So anyway, I went into Quilt Creative. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh. The lady, the owner I spoke to, super sweet. They've got tons of fabric, and she's concentrating on more traditional quilting fabric. She's not doing Kona cottons or batiks or any of the modern stuff, because there's another quilt store in town that specializes in that. I thought that was a really good decision on her part. They also have Makerspace, which you can go down and use their machines and sit in their classroom. There's a little rental fee for that. They also have a long arm. They do long arming for people.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
The whole store is just laid out very well. Lots of tables for you to set your bolts on while you're figuring out, colors and stuff. And the other customers, everybody was really chatty and fun. I just 100% recommend. I don't like to go into a store without buying stuff, so you and I have a friend who is pregnant, going to have a baby, and what better excuse to make a quilt, right?
Oh, hell yes. Ooh, I should make them something quilted too. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, we don't know the gender, and that doesn't matter to me anyway, because I'm not making pink and blue stuff. It's in greens.
Oh, it's going to be chaotic. That's going to be the color
greens. It's greens. And I was talking to the quilt store lady, and it's like, okay, this is my first attempt at making a quilt from a recipe. And she just laughed. And I showed her my book with the pattern that I'm going to make. And so she, we sat there and we talked about, it was just really fun to talk to somebody else who's into sewing and quilting just besides you and me.
Aw, awesome. Well, I look forward to going in there sometime, because I really do want to figure out this long arm service and situation.
Oh, yes. It's downtown Eugene. There's plenty of, we can pop in for a bite somewhere, and it's just great.
Fun.
Oh, it's also right next to the downtown fire station. So right as I'm deciding, this green or that green. I go, does that you're long arming and that goes off? Do you make a big old jolt?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very sensory friendly of them, but oh well.
So anyway, that I highly recommend Quilt Creative in Eugene, Oregon. It's down on 13th and, the fire station's 13th and Willamette. You can't miss it. Quilt store's right next to it. In a beautiful old brick building, which just adds to the atmosphere. It's a spacious store. Sometimes you go into the fabric stores and you're just packed in there too tight, So customers of size could feel a little squished, but this was good lighting. Just can't say enough good stuff about it. Yeah, so then I've got these little stack of fabrics looking at me now and my quilt recipe. And I'm going, when am I going to cut this out? The baby's not due till spring.
Okay,
so
we have a whole season
time
in which to make this work. Well, you were talking about how you need to come out here so we can do some parallel play on website stuff. We can also do some parallel play on quilting stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like, the only thing I don't have is batting, but we're not to that point yet.
I also need batting. We should get a big roll of it.
We should. We keep it at your house, right?
We should, because I don't have any. You don't have any. We should just get a big old industrial honk and chunk.
Yeah, and then we can set up one of those roller racks in your sewing room. So it's kind of up out of our hair, but we can grab it and pull it down.
Yeah.
Okay,
more planning off mic.
Nothing new in sewing machines for me this week. I bought a pack of charm pieces. If quilters know that charm size is an 1.5 inches square. little tiny pieces. But there was a lady that was selling them by little bags of 100 with no duplicates, right? What a great way to get a lot of pieces of little fabric. So I ordered 600 little charm squares. Now, for those of us who just love sorting things, this is like, ooh, I get to sort. Sorting things into color families and learning about color theory is kind of more easy if you've got a lot of little pieces to play with. My plan for these is, after endless sorting, is to make a whole bunch of 9-patch blocks. So it's 3 by 3 little blocks. Oh, put sashing in between them so they're not all mashed together or whatever. I guess I could just make a complete crazy quilt, but I actually do want to have some sort of a pattern to this. So I'm like sorting them out, and it's like, oh, here's all the browns. Okay, so I'll make some 9 patches out of brown, and I'll put the darker ones in the corner. So you can see how this just goes and goes and goes. Mm-hmm. When I was in 3rd grade, my school had a little rummage sale, and one of the things that was in the rummage sale was a plastic bag full of cotton scraps. I wanted that so bad. Mom, can I have this? Can I have this? It's only 50 cents. What are you going to do with that? I didn't know. I just wanted to look at all those beautiful, colorful scraps. And I think a lot of us feel that way when we go into a sewing room. The color is just, this and the textures and oh. So she finally relented and let me get the little thing of scraps. And I just sat there on my bed and sorted them and sorted them and sorted them. And it was so fun. So let's talk about sewing machines, because that's what we're doing here. Sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture. And after last week's episode, which was a throwback to season 1, I realized how much I was just ranting and raving about stuff without getting all the facts. So forgive me on that. I'm getting better. And again, if you write to us at usetosew@gmail.com and tell me what I got wrong, I'll send you a sticker for the podcast. Yeah. I've even got some of those global stickers, so I'm not scared. I sent one to England. Ooh. Today we're going to talk about Morse. Morse? Not Morris. Morse. M-O-R-S-E. Morse sewing machines. And you're like, what? I've never heard of those. If you've seen them, if you've heard of them, they're memorable. They're also, I'm going to be reading a little bit from silverbobbin.com here, an excellent sewing site that I refer to a lot. The world of vintage sewing machines rarely offers a good scandal. Ooh. Mid-century Morse sewing machines dish out all the mystery you could hope for. If you own a mystery Morse, you're probably curious to find out all about Morse sewing machine models, history, and value. Philip Morse. Remember, Morse, not Morris, not the cigarette guy. Philip Morse founded the Morse Company in 1948. This is post-World War II. With the help of his wife, he imported a large number of Japanese sewing machines from various manufacturers, not just one. The company came under scrutiny from the Fair Trade Commission when it claimed these Japanese sewing machines were American-made as a marketing ploy. Oh. Ooh. 1948, Philip Morse founded this company with himself as the president and his wife as treasurer. At first, the Morse Company seems to have served as a distributor of various Japanese products. Morse brought the products to the States and then passed them on to several other American companies. They used a company called Mercury, also founded by Morse, to import these items. He's got a little shell company for importing things here.
Oh, this is sneaky. Okay.
The small family-run company achieved temporary success selling Japanese-made sewing machines. Mercury imported the machines, and Morse marketed and sold them. By itself, selling Japanese-made machines was nothing new. In the post-World War II era, the Japanese sewing machine industry had exploded. This period launched successful companies like Genome. At the time, though, many of these companies did not have any brand recognition yet. For this reason, Lots of them sold sewing machines to American companies. The American companies would rebrand or badge the Japanese sewing machine with an American logo. We've talked about this. Big name brands like White and Kenmore used lots of Japanese models. That said, their machines offered clear provenance. Most of them have serial numbers, begin with the letter JA, or have a JA punched into the bed somewhere to indicate the machine was made in Japan. Also, there's usually a label somewhere on the machine that says made in Japan. On top of that, you can find a paperwork trail from the importers to find out exactly what Japanese company sold the model to the American company for badging. Most of the time. Morse did not do this. Instead, he used Mercury, the importing company, to obfuscate the fact that machines had come from overseas. According to the charges, it seemed that Mercury and Morse removed all identifying features that marked the models as made in Japan. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, then Morse proceeded to advertise using advertisements that claimed Morse sewing machines were American-made.
Excuse me!
Okay, yeah, this is an American machine. Okay. Well, anybody who knows sewing machines knows that pretty much everybody except Singer was out of business at this point as far as American-made sewing machines. What do you mean? Who's making these? Where's the factory? Well, they figured it out. You may find yourself scratching your head, wondering, why is this a big deal? Well, making false claims about a product is still a big deal today.
Yeah.
You know, like we talked about the garment workers label, the union labels and clothes and stuff, and things have to be labeled where they're from. That's our law here.
It's important. It matters.
So the Federal Trade Commission caught wind of Morse's dealings and issued a ruling against them in 1955. The ruling noted that Morse and Mercury had violated the Federal Trade Commission Act. The product Morse sold did not display its country of origin. The company had also used marketing language that claimed Morse had manufactured the sewing machines themselves. No records exist today indicating exactly how many Morse sewing machines were sold before the ruling came down. You can still find easy access to vintage models, which means a good number must have flooded the market at the time.
Wow, just figuring it out by inference because the documentation is like, what? John Travolta?
Yeah.
Mean, what? Where?
It wasn't, there's no documentation. It was like obfuscating.
Wow.
By today's standards, many Japanese models outpaced or improved upon the American models sold at the time. However, American consumers tended to value American-made products, and this bias lasted well after the end of World War II. For this reason, it seems Morse made false claims to make more sales. It is difficult to discover who actually made most of the Morse sewing machines because Mercury and Morse hid the origins of the machines. Based on evidence such as design, patents issued, and limited records available, it is possible to narrow down the choices. Sewing machine experts agree that the Japanese companies Pine, Toyota, and Brother made at least some of the Morse models.
Toyota. Tisk tisk.
They made a lot of stuff. Here's the thing, though. You will not find any records on the American side of the importing transaction. Mercury removed all labels and markings before Morse sold the machines. And no one knows what happened to the company following the scandal. They just dropped out of sight.
Mercury did? Or Morse?
Yeah, Mercury and both.
Oh.
Because they were both the same guy.
Sure. What happened to him? Where did he go? What about his wife? Does she have a name? Does she have a criminal record?
Ooh. Was she importing dresses and saying they were made in France? I don't know. Okay. Plus, the Japanese companies that sold mass-produced machines to the States understandably do not want to make a big deal out of this area. Many of these companies went on to become prominent names in the sewing world. They do not want to advertise a time when they weren't successful enough to sell items under their own brands yet. So, Brother, Toyota, Janome, these are all big. I mean, Toyota makes killer industrial machines. They don't make household stuff. But at the time, they were just getting going, right? And so let's sneak these Morse ones into the U.S. and, To further muddy the waters, some sewing machine experts think that Morse had a tiny bit of truth behind his claims. He may have imported only parts of the Japanese sewing machines and then used American-made wiring.
Oh, assembled in America? Okay, okay.
The Morse and Mercury companies disappeared from all records shortly after the trouble with the FCC. Morse does not appear to have filed for bankruptcy, and several Morse models continued to sell until at least 1960. That said, the company most likely went out of business after the FCC ruling. However, there are no records. Philip Morse and his wife must have made quite a bit of money off the illegal venture, so it would be interesting to know what happened to them after this. Unfortunately, they seem to have vanished as well.
No shit.
Weird, huh?
They just up in smoke, poof.
Vanished.
Bye-bye. We got our money. See ya. I'm going to headcanon that they ran away to Mexico.
Oh, or Switzerland, or Chiang Mai. Though the Morse company only existed for a few years, it sold several successful models. Let's talk about actually what were the machines like. These machines continued to circulate in the mid-century market through the 1960s. These models include the Photomatic, the Superdial, and the Ambassador. Morse machines have a square, boxy look and are painted steel. Morse promoted several models of the Photomatic. This is the one that I want to find. These included the Super Photomatic and the Photomatic models 1 through 4. Now, this is spelled F-O-T-O-Matic.
Yes, I've seen these working with Mike. Yeah,
yes, you have.
Yeah.
Where I first really saw them was like, what is this?
Photomatic. What in the mid-century?
Well, anything matic, remember? We're in the automatic, slantomatic, dialomatic era, so photomatic. It doesn't take pictures, but oh well.
I guess that's why it's an F instead of a PH.
We will find out why it has that name here in just a moment. Ooh. Stay tuned. Okay, these models came in several color schemes, including a dull blue and a two-tone green and blue. A few of them may have the word Toyota stamped into metal on the bottom of the machine. So remember, they didn't have the same manufacturer for all of them. That's why there's so many different models and they don't actually look like. Now, the true reason the Photomatic series sold so well, though, was its innovative stitch display. A small window showed an actual picture of what the stitch would look like. Today, this may seem boring. After all, we have sewing machines that operate like 3D printers with computer software. In the 1940s and 50s, though, this simple innovation rocketed the Photomatic to extreme popularity.
I mean, I really like that feature about my Kenmore, that I can look at the dial and see what the stitch is going to be.
What you see is what you get, right? Just like in computing back when you were a baby, you couldn't tell what the font was going to look like until you actually put something, now the menu is a what you see is what you get menu.
Right. I remember that transition, actually, because when I was a little kid, I loved playing with fonts. And I remember specifically the transition to I can just look at the menu. I don't have to type things out anymore.
Yes. You remember that? Oh, my God. That's so cool. Some Photomatic. So Photomatic, photo, you can see it. You can see the stitch. Right?
Oh,
it's an automatic machine, and it's like a photo. You can actually see what the stitch is going to be. I think that's where the came from. They don't actually say that here, but it makes sense to me.
Headcanon accepted.
Yeah. Some Photomatic models also offered a cute little pincushion attached to the body of the machine. Plus, of course, they all zigzagged, which was still a novelty at the time. The Morse Superdial, this is a different model, Superdial, is a boxy all-metal machine with hefty and durable parts. These things were, I swear, the Morses are the heaviest machines I've ever picked up. The Superdial often comes in a dusty, steely blue with a large chrome logo. You may also find Superdial models in pink and magenta.
Magenta? Okay, I'm intrigued.
The Superdial is only a straight stitch machine, but it is precision and well crafted. Okay, the third, more fancy Morse model, the Ambassador. The Ambassador models hit the market around 1950. The models usually feature two-tone color scheme of pale pink and cream or turquoise and cream. They have a boxy shape and heavy solid workmanship. The Ambassador models use cams. And there's pictures of these. They are weird cams. They're really tall and skinny. They don't look like anything else. How old is your Morse? Well, it's tricky to apply a specific date, but you can easily get a general idea of the age of any Morse machine because they were only sold from 1948 through the 1950s when the company disappeared, with a few machines still in stock being sold up to the 60s. Wow.
Just less than 10 years and the whole thing was a scam. Like the machines themselves are good, but everything else about it was a scam.
So that was from Silver Bob. And now I'm going to go over to Quilting Room with Mel, quiltingroomwithmel.com, for a little more on the Morse.
And all of these references will, as always, be in the show notes of the episode.
Okay, Quilting Room with Mel. Mel is talking about a Morse 600 here. It is the predecessor to the Photomatic. And she goes on to say, Morse sewing machines was located in New York, but they didn't make any sewing machines. They had various companies in Japan make machines for them. Morse 600 is not a Singer 15 clone. The term Singer clone gets attached to any Japanese imported sewing machine, it seems like, but this one is not a Singer clone or a 15 clone. It is a machine designed for Morse sewing machine and no one else. It is not a knockoff of a Singer. Okay.
I was wondering about that, how the 15 clone factored into all of this.
Well, if you look at underneath a Morse, it's a class 15 oscillating shuttle type mechanism underneath. You know, the back and forth, and uses the class 15 bobbins. But it's really not a 15 machine. Not like...
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so we know about... This is the history of Morse. Now we're going to talk about how we've experienced them. Like I said, they are heavy. Not only are they heavy, they've got very strong motors. Now, this is another thing. A lot of machines were imported from Japan with no motor or light on them at all. Because, I don't know why, but they weren't. And so those things would be added. Another thing I read about Morse on another page that I can't find right now was that they did have the Made in Japan sticker, but it was right on the back where the motor would be placed so that you could never see it.
Oh, yeah, no, the sticker's there. Ooh.
But every Morse I have ever seen or sewed on has a 1.5 amp motor on it. That is strong. That is a burly motor. Your Singer 201, 1591, those motors are 0.6 amp. This is double.
Wow.
Now, amp of the motor is only part of the drivetrain of the machine. You know, if you've got a really good gear drivetrain, you don't need a huge motor to push it. But if you've got one, it's just insane. When we worked for Mike, when you and I worked for Mike, and we would get a lot of these Morse. I've seen all of them. I've seen the Photomatic. I've seen the pink one with the big chrome logo on it.
Yeah, you describing all of them. I'm like, I've seen every one of these. I've handled all of these.
But people go to a thrift store and they see Morse, and it's not a machine they've ever heard of, right? It's not Bernina. It's not a Singer. It's not a Viking. It's not even a Brother. Morse, because it was only made for 10 years. Here's my advice, people. If you see one, buy it, because they really were very well made. But not only that, the styling is outrageous. If they think of the time period we're talking about here, 50s, the 1950s, think of what the cars looked like. Think two-tone, think chrome, think push buttons and dials and all kinds of little widgets and gadgets and that Photomatic stitch dial window. I mean, this is like the radio in your old Chrysler.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was picturing as you said that. I was like, oh, just like a radio dial in the... Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And so just the sheer amount of fluff on these, they're not sleek. I mean, you think of the beautiful sleek 101 or something like that, and then you set this Morse next to it. It's like, it's Vegas, baby. It's a Vegas sewing machine. Next time I see it, and I used to see these in stores and I didn't know anything about them, so I didn't buy them. I just thought, oh, that's just another one of them cheesy Japanese machines from the 50s. Well, now I know more about a lot of those machines were really, really good. We just don't know about them because, like this scandal, made in USA. Yeah, where?
Fascinating.
You think if there was a sewing machine factory popped up somewhere, we'd know where it was.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, the lack of records, just the sheer lack of primary documentation other than the machines themselves exist. That's indisputable.
That's about it. So if you've got a Morse, and I don't think that you would find one of these in Europe at all, unless an American had taken it over with them.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, so this is going to be a uniquely North American phenomenon.
Uniquely United States. I don't know if them went to Canada either. That I know of.
Aside from individual machines that people happened to take.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So if you're in the U.S. and you find a Morse, I don't even see them on the big auction site. Yes, I did. I did see one the other day. I was looking for a Photomatic, and I think it was selling for $280. That's what they had it asked for. But they're great sewing machines. They really are. There's not the cachet of, it's a Singer. Oh, it's a Benina. It's a Morse. It's a Morse in it. And it looks like Grandpa's Buick.
And we really know nothing else about the creator, where he came from or where he went. He just kind of appeared, did a scandal, and vanished with his money.
He appeared. He imported a bunch of stuff, mostly sewing machines. Maybe he was. Who knows? There's no information about Philip Morse or what his wife's name was. Yeah, they sold a bunch of sewing machines and then moved to Argentina. Who knows? If anybody knows more about the Morse, please do let us know, because it's just one of those machines I've been wanting to do an episode about for a while, just because they're so bizarre. And even though they were only sold for a short period of time, I guess here in America, they're not really considered rare. So, mystery of the week here in the middle of January for you. Go to your computers. Look up Philip Morse. Remember, Morse, not Morris, not Joe Camel.
Morse like Morse code.
Morse code, yeah. Morse. And all of the machines say Morse on them in big chrome letters, so you don't have to look around for that.
Yeah, it's not like a little badge slapped on. It's a big, gnarly logo.
The logo's big enough you could probably put it on the trunk of your car instead of Toyota.
So why were they so heavy? It's just because they made all the parts as big and burly as possible?
A lot of the Japanese machines from that era are very heavy. Let's just think. The cost of aluminum was much higher. But steel, we got steel. Japanese steel is really good. They're good at making steel and iron and things like that. So they went with what they had. United States and Europe were kind of moving over to aluminum at that point. But that's a whole different deal. And I'm going to guess in post-war Japan, that material either wasn't available or was too difficult to work with. So, and as far as why did they put the heavy motors on, a lot of Japanese machines that were imported into the U.S. in that post-war period came in without wiring, without a light, without a motor. And those things were put on later. So they vary. But most of the ones I've seen are at least 1 amp. And some of these Morses and Atlas and some of those 1.2, 1.5, burly stuff.
So how did they have a good design if they were just a scam company, but it wasn't the Singer clone? Like, how did they have a good design to use? They just came out of the gate swinging.
The Japanese were making machines, right? But all these makers, like I said, they were newly making machines, and they had got those original plans from Singer, but then the Japanese innovated like crazy. They beat Singer at its own game. So they were designing and building. These machines are Japanese designs.
So in a sense, these are kind of like not a prototype, but like a transition phase from when they first got the designs to when they had perfected the 15 clone that we did the episodes about before.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
The 15 clones were pretty much all straight stitch, and then they went to manual zigzag. By the time we get to the Morse here, who also made some of those earlier ones, but they've gone full. I don't think they ever went full automatic, which is reverse cycle stretch. That was the Europeans that got that first. But it was just Japanese innovation. And this guy going, I'm going to bring these machines to the U.S. Okay, so maybe some of these makers weren't selling to Kenmore yet or whatever, selling to Sears or selling to some bigger importers. But here's this guy that wants to buy some machines from us. Okay. So nothing else looks like them.
I wonder how much that import helped kickstart the more legitimate sides of the business. Like the demand and the assumption of, these Japanese innovated machines are great. It's awesome. Even though he was lying about it, I wonder how much he also helped kickstart it.
Oh, I'm sure. Because once people got a hold of these machines and, once it came out that, no, they're not made in the U.S., they're made in Japan. But by then, Japan's coming up. By the time we get to the 70s, now we're getting to your Kenmore.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Now it's legit. They're selling with their own names. They've got a cover letter. They've got a resume. Even though one of those references is bad, the work is good.
Oh, yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah. So now, Genome, Juki, Brother, Toyota, these are all top line industrial manufacturers. I don't even know if they make home machines anymore. The home machine market is all, the disposable white appliance stuff is not Japan. That's other countries now.
Right.
So that's today's episode is Morse, the odd bird of the mid-century. And if you find one, grab it. If you've got the room and the kidney strength to pick it up.
Man, they are heavy. Yeah, when you're describing them, it's just my hands remember going, trying to pick one up and put it on the table to turn it and clean it and all of that. Yeah, that's the most distinctive thing. It's just how damn heavy they were.
Which makes them a very stable machine.
Sure, yeah.
The heavier the machine is, the less it's going to rock and roll when you're sewing fast, especially if it's in a cabinet. Going back to our cabinet episode. Put a big heavy machine in a cabinet, it's not going to move. It's just going to bzzz. Don't set a Morse on a card table.
No, that poor table cannot handle it.
Because it is an oscillating machine. It is not a rotary. So it does have some juga to it. But I still love them. Now I just know the next time I go out thrifting, I'm going to find a Photomatic. Stay threaded!
And there you have it. A tale of mystery and scandal wrapped into a sewing machine. As you heard, I had a lot of questions as we went through, like who was his wife? And now I'm here to tell you what I've learned in researching for this episode in post-production. So, the wife question first. I found no evidence of his wife having a name, except on Victorian Sweatshop, where Steele Sewing, who we've referenced before, claimed without any kind of citation that Philip Morse's wife was named Marion Morse, and that she was VP of the company. No other source would name her at all. I even let Google search AI try to answer the question, and it came up empty, which I guess is better than making something up, so that's good. So we just have to take that on faith from Jim/Steele Sewing. I also couldn't find anything out about them vanishing after the company folded. So my headcanon about them going to somewhere with a warm beach is as good as explanation as any. I did learn, and this was not something I was wondering about, but this is how research goes. I did learn that the scandal of the Shell Import Company was actually less of a big deal than it was made out to be. I found multiple forums that said the same thing to some degree. Probably they were all Steele Sewing posts, honestly. But a representative example of this was the post that Steele Sewing made on Reddit in response to this question. And I'm just going to quote the answer in full here. Quote, Morse did not market the machines as made in the USA. When they got in trouble in 1953, most of the issue was about redefining federal law. Country of origin stickers had been applied to all the machines. Some of them, however, were right where the motors would be installed stateside, thus obstructing the view to the end user. The legal question became that of who exactly is the customer, since Morse purchased the machines for import. Oddly, many companies had been using the same import practices for years, and then suddenly, Morse was being singled out 1 year after they began importing Toyota's first zigzag machine. The U.S. zigzag market had seen Necky gobble up 10% of the sales shares every year since 1949, and in 1953, the Elna Supermatic began to eat up more shares. The last thing any domestic sewing machine company with a badly selling zigzag needed was a third player beachheading in the West. End quote. So that is interesting, if we assume that Steel Sewing knows what he's talking about. I really wish he had cited more than sewing machine advertising from the era to prove his points, but, I get it. Intense rabbit holes of knowledge will always have odd gaps, particularly if they are in the shape of a woman's contributions to said knowledge. I really wish I could have found out more about Mary and Morse and what the couple did after Morse the company folded, but alas, this is what we have for this week. If you know more, do please tell us. As a reminder, we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, who do repairs and restorations. You can follow us on social media and YouTube, and you can best support us by sharing the podcast with your friends. You can even get ad-free episodes by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/usedtosew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at usedtosew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.